Hey guys, what's up? It's Ripe again. In today's video, an entitled family claims they own a public beach and then say I trespassed on their property and called the cops on me. I got epic revenge. Here is what happened. Subscribe to Ripe on YouTube and hit the bell to turn on notifications. So this story takes place in Croatia at the beach, but let me give you a little backstory. I don't live far away from this beach I am telling you about, and neither does the entitled family that was with me on the beach. The entitled Karen family is how the whole neighborhood calls them. They are those types of neighbors who scream outside at midnight, but they come to your door if you listen to music outside midday. They also always complain about the pets in the neighborhood, and I'm pretty sure at one point I've witnessed them trying to feed a neighbor dog some kind of strange mystery meat. Either way, they are very entitled and they believe everything belongs to them. There is no neighbor that had not had any problem with them. We also always had trouble with them over the years with noise, garbage and even drugs. Police were called many times over the years. The last thing we fought over before the beach incident was my car. Apparently my car is too noisy, which is not true. Police were called again and they assured me that I did nothing wrong. It was just Karen being a Karen. Now, back at the beach incident where we had our last fight, and when I say last I really meant it, because I think I am moving out. I know it sounds extreme, moving out because of a neighbor, but I am tired and I am done with them. The beach is approximately 10 kilometers away from my house, so I go there pretty often. It was Sunday and it was chilly outside, so I decided to go to the beach. When I got there, I saw the Karen family's camper. I did not say a thing and I just found a spot far enough from theirs. I was just staying in the shadow of a tree, breathing the cold air and looking at the sea. I only got to enjoy this for a few minutes because I saw Karen coming towards me. "You have to leave, you are trespassing," she said. "Why? No, I'm not leaving, I'm not trespassing," I replied angrily. "This is a private property and we are not allowing you to stay here," she screamed back. "That's trespassing," she added. "This is a public property, Karen, a public beach that everyone can enjoy." "I'm not leaving, end of the discussion," I said, laying back on my towel. "What about all the other people out here?" I asked. "I will kick them out too," she replied. I see her leave, so I relax and close my eyes. No one around could fully relax because of them. They were screaming and laughing loudly. I tried to just ignore them and enjoy the sea breeze. As I was laying down, I saw a shadow covering my eyes, so I opened them. Karen was above me with a beer in her hand and she poured the beer all over me and left laughing. I ran after her and grabbed the beer bottle out of her hand. "You know I could smash your head with this bottle, right?" I asked angrily with no real intention of hitting her. And I gotta say, Ripe Stars OP has quite the temperament himself. Anyway, "Stop playing with me," I added more calmly this time. "Hitting me on my private property? I don't think so," she replied. And now I kind of wanted to hit her. "One more time? This is not your property," I said. I threw the bottle in a trash bin and went back to my little spot. I could see that they were making a plan, thinking of what to come at me with next time. They kept looking at me, talking and laughing. When they finally decided, Karen came with a baseball bat. I get up and wait for her to come closer. "If you don't leave our property, I will hit you with this baseball bat," she said. "This is not your property, Karen. What is wrong with you? This here is a beach, our beach. It's yours exactly how much it is mine," I replied. "Hit me if you dare," I added. "I'm calling the police," she said. "Please do," I replied. She called 112, 911 for all my American friends and told them that there was a man on their private property that did not want to leave, gave them an address and ended the phone call. "They are coming in a second." "Stay here," she told me. The police came and Karen went and told them that she was the one who called and pointed at me, calling me the problem. "What seems to be the problem here, sir?" asked the police officer. "Here's the problem," shouted Karen. I just came to the beach minding my own business when she came and told me that I am on her private property. "I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but I knew that this beach is public," I said. "It is public indeed, sir," said the police officer. "Ma'am, you cannot make him leave and you cannot call the police every time you don't like something," he added. "Please stop harassing this man," added the policeman before getting into his car. The police left, but Karen and her family kept going. They kept telling me that the beach is theirs and they can make everybody leave if they want to. I didn't want to argue with them as it was useless, but I wanted to take revenge. I noticed that their huge camper was parked on a handicapped parking spot, so I called someone to come and tow it. They probably figured it out that I was the one who called, but I did not really care. "It is my property, I can park my car wherever I want," Karen was screaming at the man towing their camper. "This is a public beach, ma'am. Someone reported that your camper is parked on the handicapped parking spot, and they were right. We are going to tow it and you can come tomorrow and get it back after you pay your fine," said the man from the tow company. After their car was towed, they had to walk home and I drove home right past them. I decided not to move out yet, maybe I can take some more innocent revenge on them. The next day they paid the fine and got their camper back, and they have been quiet since. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I'm wondering what is next. Maybe someone claims that they own a public park or something. Either way, I also wanted to say I just updated my audio equipment yet again, so please let me know in the comments if you notice any difference. It should be a little bit clearer than before and less noise. And the next one is titled "The Best Revenge You Will Ever Hear." So I grew up in a single-parent family, my mom, me and my older sister who, for this story's sake, I will call Lilith. Lilith is 4 years older than me, so the main reason I believe she was the way she was because she grew up an only child with both our parents spoiling her and giving her everything she wanted. Then I came along and she was not the baby anymore. Then when I was 2, my parents divorced and my dad moved away and my mom was left alone with us. My sister was and still is a grade A bitch. When I was growing up, she used to bully me relentlessly. She would call me names, break my stuff, blame my parents' divorce on me, and even physically abuse me until I got old enough to hit back. At school, she used to get all her friends to bully me as well, and because a bunch of older kids were always cornering me, calling me fat and ugly, I never had any friends. No one wanted to be anywhere near me because of her, and she always made a point of letting me know just how much better than me she was. When I was younger, I believed she was better. She was prettier, wore better clothes, had a ton of friends and was into girly stuff like makeup and fashion, while I was still in my teddy bear Barbie stage. You could just tell me that this is all stupid kid stuff, but it only got worse as we got older. By the time she was 16, I was just turning 12 and the bullying had never ceased. Because of the type of person I was, I thought that if I did everything she said, she might actually like me, but this only encouraged her to take advantage of me. Just like this meowing cat is taking advantage of me. And by the way guys, my apologies, it started raining really heavily just now, so you might hear that in the recording. Either way, things like cleaning her side of our room, getting her drinks, making her food, doing any housework mom asked her to do, and even giving her my pocket money were completely normal. But despite not doing everything she said, she was always nasty and not just to me. One of the worst memories I have of my sister is her screaming at my mom because she could not get the prom dress she wanted. I watched my mom try to explain that she did not have the money to afford the dress she asked for and that she would have to get a cheaper one. Lilith blew up on my mom, telling her they would have the money if dad was still here, and it was all her fault that he left and she should not suffer because mom was too lazy to get a real job. This really struck a chord with me because even when I was younger, I always noticed how tired my mom always was. She worked 2 jobs just to get us by, and for Lilith to act that way and say things like that really got to me. She made my mom cry that night and I've never forgiven her for it. Sometime later and my mom was dating this guy, we shall call him Matt. Matt was, and still is, great. He was really nice to all of us, bought us presents, made a point to get to know us, even took both me and Lilith on separate days out, so we could both spend some alone time with him, which always made me feel special. I was 13 when they got married, and we moved in with him. Matt made quite a lot of money, so both Lilith and I now had separate bedrooms, and I could not have been happier. Enter Matt's son. Our mastermind, we shall refer to him as Megamind. I had met Megamind a few times before my mom got married to his dad, but never really got to know him. He was older than me but younger than Lilith, so when we moved into his house I was terrified that Mega would be like Lilith. However, I was completely wrong. Mega was and still is the best brother. He never made me feel like I was unwanted. He let me play on his consoles, got me into reading, helped me with my homework, and even encouraged me to make friends, knowing how my sister's treatment of me affected my trust in people. Mega was the sibling I always wanted and never got to have. And Lilith just kind of faded into the background for a while. Then some years later, Mega brought a friend home from university. His name shall be Nick. Nick and Mega were best friends. They did practically everything together and had the truest bromance of any two men I've ever met, but there was evil lurking. Evil that wished to break the bromance forever. The first time Lilith saw Nick, I swear there were stars in her eyes and she had to capture this innocent soul into her trap by any means necessary. And of course, poor Nick. Poor Nick. Despite both me and Mega telling him repeatedly what kind of a person she was, Lily entranced this innocent poor boy with her looks and her charms, and they soon started dating. Soon, whenever Nick would come over to the house to hang out with Mega, Lilith would show up and drag him away, making it all about her. She started arguments with Mega about spending too much time with her boyfriend and that he needed to stop and leave them alone, to which Mega always laughed in her face and told her, not too kindly, to F off. Mega was not like me. He did not take any crap and I deeply respected him for that. However, this evil demon was not used to being disrespected and so she hatched a wicked plan. She started trying to separate Mega and Nick. If Nick came over to be with Mega, she would always make him feel guilty about not spending enough time with her. She would start fights with Mega and then act like the poor victim over texts to Nick. Nick would then call Mega, all upset and angry, and Mega would try to explain that Lilith was just trying to manipulate him. All of this I saw as a spectator. Mega would tell me every time Lilith did something sneaky to try and break his friendship with Nick, and I believed everything she said because I knew what kind of a person she was. Then one day, Lilith and Mega had a massive fight. Our parents had gone on a couples weekend getaway and had left Lilith in charge since she was the oldest. I was about 15 at this time, while Mega was 19 and Lilith was 20. Because she was the one in charge, she got given the money we were supposed to use for food, but of course, Lilith took the money for herself and bought a bunch of crap just for her, including, I remember, a pair of gold high-heel shoes. They were pretty, but we could not eat them. Mega blew up on Lilith and Lilith shouted back that she was older, better and deserved it. Mega got our parents on the phone, told them what happened, and they ripped into Lilith, telling her to give her pocket money to Mega so he could look after us and buy us food for the weekend. Lilith shouted and cried but eventually gave in, never having successfully manipulated Matt in her life. She handed the money to Mega with a snarl and then spent the next few hours on the phone to Nick, wailing about how we were both being mean to her while our parents were away and could she please stay at his house so she would not be bullied anymore. Nick came running and started screaming at Mega for, quote, taking Lilith's money and getting her into trouble. Meanwhile, Lilith stood behind Nick with a smug look on her face while Mega was trying to explain. Nick then yells that Mega's been against their relationship from the beginning and he didn't know what Mega's problem was, but if he was forcing him to choose between him and Lilith, he chose his girlfriend. Now, I know a lot of you will call Nick stupid, but don't. I know how manipulative Lilith could be. She was a master at making people feel sorry for her and getting them on her side even when she was horrible to them, just like she did with me. That night I had to listen to Mega cry for the first time since I knew him, and I had enough. I knocked on his door, asked him if he was alright, we ordered a pizza and we started to plot. Mega was rather defeated by this point, but I told him that if his friendship with Nick meant anything, he had to get him away from that demon spawn before he lost his friend for good. And so we plotted. Lilith spent the entire weekend with Nick and came back all happy and smug, rubbing it in Mega's face that Nick had chosen her, but via our plan, Nick said nothing back and acted defeated and let her talk. For the next few weeks, that is all she did. Whenever Nick came over to the house, she would spend time with him in her room, and when he would leave, she would prance around Megha, bragging about how much Nick loved her and asking Megha snidely if he missed his little friend. Every time she did this, her focus was entirely on Megha. She never once looked at me, and that was her biggest mistake. Finally, the day of her 21st birthday had arrived. Nick and Megha had not spoken in weeks, and the few times Nick had gingerly tried to make things up with Megha, Lilith would walk in screaming about how he had already chosen her and that if he wanted to be friends with Megha again, then their relationship was over. Nick would always look miserable, but would side with her nonetheless. Megha had had enough. The fact that Lilith was making his best friend so unhappy purely for her own selfishness snapped something in him, and he told me it was time to put our plan into action. This was where my part of our plan finally took the center stage. For her 21st birthday, she had arranged to have her party at the house since it was huge and more than enough space for all of her university friends. Our parents had agreed, but only under the condition that there was no underage drinking and that both Megha and I were allowed to stay in the house. My sister reluctantly agreed, and thus the plan was in motion. On the morning of her birthday, I knocked on her bedroom door. She looked annoyed to see me and asked me snidely, "What do you want?" I innocently told her that I had the best idea. I told her that I wanted to record her for her 21st birthday. I wanted to record her getting ready with her friends, talking about her plans after leaving university, record all her friends at the party, and then set up the recording on a big projector Matt had in his office so everyone could see it. This was before the time where smartphones were everywhere, so recording yourself was still something of a novelty, and I was using an old-fashioned camcorder I had gotten a few birthdays ago. Now, despite the fact that she did not like me, her wrath had been focused on Megha for so long that she most likely never saw me as a threat. And because of this, both her and her friends seemed to love the idea. I spent the entire morning with them, recording them all getting ready, putting on their makeup, and of course introducing themselves to the camera. My sister was lapping it up. She looked into that camera's eye like she was a supermodel movie star, preening and talking loudly about her successful future and how amazing her birthday party was going to be. That day, I reverted back to my old role as a servant, fetched her and her friends drinks and food, and made a grand show of complimenting all of them, and also telling them how amazing they looked on camera and that they could all be actresses one day. They were loving it, so the party starts and my sister told me to stay out of the way. I told her innocently that it was no problem, that I would just stay in my room all night, edit the recordings, and come down to set up the camcorder when she was ready, because I wanted this night to be perfect for her. Satisfied with my answer, she left my room and I did exactly what I said I would do. I edited my recordings, and a few hours later, one of her friends came to my room and told me she was ready. I set up the projector in the large living room, connected it to Matt's computer, and started playing the recordings for all her guests to see. The first part of the recordings were exactly what I promised. My sister and her friends introducing themselves and laughing in her bedroom as they had been hours earlier. I looked at my sister, who seemed so satisfied that all the attention was on her, and then I looked at Megha, who was hiding in the corner of the room, and gave him a subtle thumbs up. Then the video started to change. It started to playing clips of Lilith shouting at Megha, calling him names and taunting him about Nick. It started showing Lilith snidely telling Megha that Nick belonged to her and that she was going to do her best to make Nick hate Megha so that they would never be friends again. It even showed clips of Lilith bragging about all the lies she had told Nick and how he was so gullible. Every single argument I had recorded without her knowledge I had edited into this video. Everyone in the party was watching silently as Lilith's true self was exposed in clip after clip, while Lilith stood there frozen, completely unable to comprehend what was going on. When she finally snapped out of it, she turned on me and started screaming, yelling at me and asking me, "How could you do this?" I never said a word, I just smiled. When the recording stopped, Megha turned the lights on and everyone was staring at Lilith. Clearly having no defense, she let out a loud cry and stormed up to her room, slamming the door so hard everyone heard it. The next day, Megha told me Nick had apologized for everything and that he was stupid to so blindly believe everything she said. He even told me that Nick had thanked me specifically for helping him see what a monster my sister truly was. When my parents came home, both Mega and I were grounded for ruining Lilith's birthday and for using Matt's stuff without permission. But neither of us cared. Mega got his best friend back, and a few months later, Lilith moved out since after seeing the recordings of her behavior, my parents were disgusted by her and they had absolutely no problems with showing it. Since she no longer had any leverage over anyone in the house, she packed her bags and moved to stay in one of her college dorms. I've never had any problems with my sister since, and to this day, Mega and I are as close as two siblings can be and always laugh about the time we defeated the demon and saved us all from its clutches. Update: thank you so much for the support and the gold. For everyone asking what happened next, well... Mega and Nick are still best friends, and Mega was the best man at Nick's wedding, and before you ask, yes, he learned his lesson about dating witches. His wife is sweet as a cherry drop.